Did you know that a single sentence you say to yourself in the morning can completely change the course of your day? There are two kinds of people each morning: those who let the day lead them and those who lead their day. If repeating just 5 simple phrases every morning could build a mental fortress of strength and purpose, would you try it? Every morning, we face a decision. We can either wake up and rush straight into the chaos, letting the day toss us around like leaves in the wind, or we can pause, even just for a few moments, and choose to set our direction. And believe it or not, something as simple as speaking a few words to yourself can make all the difference in how your day unfolds. But let me be clear, I'm not talking about fluffy affirmations that sound nice but mean nothing. That kind of hollow motivation won't fuel you when the pressure hits. What we need are grounded, powerful phrases, words built on truth, principles, and real intention. These aren't just words, they are reminders of who you are, where you're headed, and what it's going to take to get there. Picture this. Every morning, you say 5 specific things to yourself. Each phrase becomes a building block, a small piece of strength and clarity, forming the foundation for a meaningful day. One phrase at a time, one brick at a time, you slowly construct a wall, but not a wall to hide behind. No, a wall to stand behind, a fortress of purpose and resolve. And when life gets hard, as it always does, it's this structure that keeps you standing. It's what holds you firm when the winds of uncertainty blow. Here's the beauty. By saying these phrases daily, you're not just reminding yourself of the best version of you. You're stepping into that version, one morning at a time. This isn't just a habit, it's a small discipline with massive returns. It's like tuning your internal compass before you even take a step into your day. These words don't just motivate, they guide your energy, shape your decisions, and reignite your sense of purpose. They act like a lighthouse, helping you navigate through distractions, doubts, and daily challenges. And no, it's not about being perfect. It's about having direction, building momentum, one sunrise at a time, so that by the time your head hits the pillow, you can say, "Today was good. Today meant something." And it all begins with the very first phrase. Today I take responsibility. Responsibility. Just one word, yet it can completely shift your mindset. Starting your day by taking full responsibility doesn't just give you clarity, it gives you power. Because here's a truth you can hold on to. You can't change the wind, but you can adjust your sails. Responsibility means you stop blaming the wind, the sea, or the boat. You reach for the sail yourself, and you steer. It's about ownership. No matter what the day brings, you decide how you will respond. And that, my friend, is real freedom. One of the most liberating realizations in life is this: your circumstances don't define you. Your response to them does. Responsibility isn't about guilt or shame. It's not about taking the fall for everything. It's about control, the kind of control that comes from within. It's understanding that you are the captain of your ship. And when you say, "Today, I take responsibility," you're planting your flag. You're declaring that you will own your actions, your mindset, and your choices, no matter what. Some people spend their entire lives stuck in blame mode. They're quick to point fingers at people, situations, systems, anything but themselves. But here's what I've learned. Blame might feel good in the moment, but it robs you of your power. The moment you say, "It's their fault," you surrender control. You're saying, "I can't change this because it's not up to me." But when you take responsibility, the power shifts. You no longer wait for the world to change. You become the one who creates change, and that's only the beginning. There are still 4 more phrases to unlock, each one essential to building the kind of day and life you truly want. So what's the second phrase you should say each morning? So we've just seen how saying, "Today I take responsibility," sets the tone for the entire day. Now let's take a deeper step into what this really means, and more importantly, what it doesn't mean. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It doesn't mean you'll always get things right, or that you're not allowed to stumble. The truth is, you will mess up. Some days, things will fall apart, no matter how well you planned. But owning responsibility means that when those moments come, you don't hide from them. You don't fall into shame or beat yourself up endlessly. Instead, you pause. You reflect. You ask yourself, what can I learn from this? And then, most importantly, you get back up and adjust your course. Think of it like this. You're the CEO of your own life. And just like any great CEO, when things go wrong, you don't point fingers. You don't blame the economy, the market, or your competitors. A strong leader steps back, looks at the situation honestly, learns from it, and makes smart adjustments. They take full responsibility for the outcomes, because that's what it takes to lead well. So when you say, "Today I take responsibility," you're stepping into that leadership role for your life. You're saying, "I'm in charge here." You're committing to meet whatever comes your way with maturity, with resilience, and with action, not reaction. But why say this in the morning? Because morning is when your mind is fresh, untouched by the noise and stress of the day. It's your best shot at setting your inner compass before the distractions start pulling you in every direction. When you make that declaration early, you're aligning your mind to search for solutions instead of problems, to lean toward action instead of excuses. It's like hitting a mental reset button. Whenever you find yourself slipping into blame or frustration later in the day, you can recall that morning intention and redirect your focus back to what you can control. That's the real magic of taking responsibility. It gives you clarity, power, and most of all, permission to act now. You see, many people postpone their goals. They delay their dreams waiting for the right time, the perfect mood, the right resources, the ideal conditions. But here's the reality, that time never comes. The conditions will never be perfect. And the longer you wait, the more you lose momentum. Responsibility changes that. It gives you the courage to move forward today, right here, right now, with whatever you've got. It anchors you in the real world, not in fantasy or wishful thinking. It says, here's where I am. This is what I have. So now, what can I do with it? That mindset, no excuses, only action, creates progress. And real progress isn't flashy or instant. It's built slowly, consistently, inch by inch, step by step, through real-world effort. So when you repeat the phrase, "Today, I take responsibility," it's not just a mantra, it's a declaration. It's you telling yourself that no matter what comes your way, you will show up, that you'll face the day, face the struggles, and face the results, head on. It's a promise that you'll take ownership of your choices, your setbacks, and your victories. And here's something beautiful. Responsibility is contagious. When you live this way, people around you notice. Your friends, your family, your co-workers, they see how you carry yourself, how you handle tough moments without complaining, how you keep moving forward. And that energy, it spreads. You become an example, a quiet light that others are drawn to. You start a ripple effect, not just improving your own life, but influencing those around you to rise higher too. That's the hidden power of responsibility. It not only transforms your path, but it inspires others to walk their own with courage. So far, we've seen how taking responsibility each morning gives you back your power. Now let's build on that solid foundation with the next step. As you wake up and begin your day, take just a moment to say it, with intention, with clarity. Today, I take responsibility. Let the words sink in. Feel the weight they carry, but more importantly, feel the freedom they bring. Because when you embrace responsibility, you're stepping away from the heavy chains of blame, the distractions of excuses, and the false security of waiting for the perfect moment. You're declaring, today, I own my decisions, my responses, my actions. And with that mindset, you don't just step into your day, you step into your power. Responsibility is the beginning. It's the cornerstone, the foundation upon which every other morning intention rests. Without it, the rest has nowhere to stand. But once you claim ownership of your day, your mindset, your choices, you've already won half the battle. You're no longer reacting to life, you're leading it. And that brings us to the second phrase, I am capable. Now this may sound simple, maybe even obvious, but don't underestimate its power. I am capable is not just a feel-good statement. It's a declaration of your potential. It's a reminder that no matter what today brings, you have what it takes to face it. In a world full of noise, setbacks, and comparisons, how often do we actually pause and affirm our own strength? We're constantly bombarded with messages that make us feel inadequate. Always someone smarter, faster, richer, better. And that constant comparison? It can chip away at your self-belief. But when you begin each day by declaring, I am capable, you're planting your feet in truth. You're reminding yourself that you already hold the tools, the mindset, the grit, the experience, even if you're still learning. You may not have every answer right now, but you have the ability to find them, and that matters. Saying, I am capable isn't about arrogance. It's not about pretending you'll never fall. It's not a performance. It's an acknowledgement that you have strengths, and those strengths are enough to face what lies ahead. There's a saying, everything you need is already within you, and that's exactly what this phrase affirms. Capability doesn't mean you'll never make a mistake. It doesn't promise success at every turn, but it means that even if you stumble, you trust yourself to get back up, to reflect, to learn, and to keep pushing forward. You're not promising perfection. You're promising effort, resilience, and growth. When you start your morning with this mindset, you're creating a quiet but steady confidence. Not the kind that relies on luck or external validation, but the kind built from within. It's rooted in experience, in lessons learned, in strength gained through challenges. And here's something to remember. Capability is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Each day that you say, I am capable, you're training your mind to approach life not with fear, but with curiosity. You start looking at challenges not as roadblocks, but as puzzles, each one with something to teach you. And once that shift happens, life changes. Obstacles become stepping stones. Setbacks become setups for something better. That's not just optimism. That's strategy. It's seeing difficulty as your training ground, not your enemy. But here's the catch. Self-doubt is sneaky. It creeps in quietly. Maybe it starts with a single hesitation. Then a little voice says, what if I'm not good enough? If you don't shut that voice down, it grows louder. And before you know it, it's not just questioning your actions, it's questioning your identity. That's why saying I'm capable matters so much. It's like a shield, a simple, strong affirmation that cuts through that doubt. Every time you say it, you shrink that voice. You put it back in its place. You remind yourself, yes, I can. We just explored the power of starting your day by saying, I am capable. Now, let's take that mindset even deeper. Because believing in your capability isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Sure, you might have fears. You'll definitely face challenges, but those things don't define you. Capability is a mindset. It's not something handed to you, it's something you choose. It's the decision to believe in yourself, even when the world seems determined to give you reasons not to. Take a moment and think back to a time when you achieved something that once felt completely out of reach. Maybe it was a goal, a project, or even a personal breakthrough. At one point, that thing might have looked intimidating, maybe even impossible. But somehow, through perseverance, focus, and a deep well of resilience, you made it. You overcame. That is capability in motion. That's what it looks like when belief meets action. And here's the beautiful part. Capability is cumulative. Every time you face something difficult and push through it, you're adding to an internal bank of strength. It's like you're building a reservoir of courage that you can draw from again and again. Every challenge you overcome doesn't just build your confidence, it reinforces the truth that you are capable. Sometimes people ask, but what if I'm not good enough? Or, what if I can't handle it? And I always tell them, don't let a hard thing convince you that you can't do it. Just because something feels difficult doesn't mean you're not capable of overcoming it. In fact, it's often the hard things that shape us the most. Capability isn't about ease, it's about showing up anyway. It's about digging deep, trusting yourself, and moving forward, even when the path isn't smooth. You'll surprise yourself with what you can do if you just give yourself the chance. When you say, I am capable, you're not just whispering a positive thought. You're setting a standard. You're declaring, I will not shrink from what challenges me. I will not be held back by fear or doubt or worry. You're saying, everything I need to make today meaningful already exists inside me. And here's the thing. Once you believe you're capable, you start acting like it. You start approaching problems with confidence. You take on new challenges that you might have run from before. You open yourself to experiences that stretch you, that grow you. And that's where the real transformation happens. That's the hidden beauty of this mindset. It unlocks doors, because suddenly you're no longer afraid of what's behind them. You trust yourself to handle it, whatever it is. That's what capability really is, a quiet confidence that says, I've got this. Capability is also about growth. It's not a fixed trait. Just because you're capable today doesn't mean you've reached your limit. On the contrary, true capability is recognizing that you're still growing, still learning, still becoming. When you say, I am capable, you're committing to that growth. You're saying, I'm ready to improve. I'm ready to learn from failure. I'm ready to level up. And that's why it's so powerful to repeat this phrase each morning. It's a daily reminder that you're not finished, that your story is still being written. You're not stuck. You're still rising. And trust me, when you live with that kind of belief, it touches every part of your life. It affects the way you work, the way you treat others, the way you pursue your dreams. People are drawn to those who carry themselves with quiet self-belief, not because they think they're better than everyone else, but because that belief is magnetic. It's inspiring. People want to be around someone who faces life with courage, someone who doesn't crumble at the first sign of struggle. When you say, I am capable, every morning, you're becoming that person. You're setting an example not only for yourself, but for others around you. So say it. Say it loud. Say it with your whole chest. I am capable. Let that phrase ground you. Let it remind you of the strength you've built, the resilience you carry, and the potential that still lies ahead. Because capability isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting that you have what it takes to find them. It's about knowing that no matter what life throws your way, you'll rise to meet it. We've just seen how believing I am capable helps build the kind of confidence that fuels action. Now let's take that internal strength and pair it with something just as transformative: gratitude. Instead of focusing on what's missing, what's broken, or what you wish were different, what if, each morning, you shifted your attention toward what's already good, toward what's already here? That one small adjustment in perspective can completely change your day. Now, you might be wondering, why gratitude? Why does it matter so much? Because being grateful shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance. It moves you away from a feeling of lack, like you're constantly falling short, and brings your attention to the things you already have: your health, your loved ones, your talents, the opportunities that still lie ahead. When you start your morning by saying, I am grateful, you're grounding your mind in a sense of sufficiency, of wholeness. It becomes a powerful antidote to the endless chase for more. More success, more approval, more stuff. Gratitude pulls you out of that loop and anchors you in contentment, not complacency, but peace. Being grateful is also one of the most effective ways to combat negativity. Life throws curveballs. It always will. But when you learn to look at those challenges through the lens of gratitude, something shifts. You stop seeing obstacles as punishments and start noticing the hidden value inside them. You begin to realize that even in discomfort, even in chaos, there's something to be gained, whether it's strength, wisdom, or clarity. Now, this doesn't mean life is perfect. It's not. But gratitude allows you to extract meaning from imperfection. It helps you see the silver threads woven through the darkest moments. It's the skill of finding value even when things aren't going your way. And here's something truly amazing. Gratitude multiplies. The more you practice it, the more your mind starts to seek it out. Like a magnet for blessings, you begin to notice the small joys, the kind that used to slip past you. A smile from a stranger, a warm cup of coffee, the simple comfort of a new day. It creates a snowball effect. The more grateful you are, the more things you find to be grateful for. This isn't just feel-good theory, there's solid science behind it. Studies show that people who consistently practice gratitude are not only happier, but also healthier and more resilient. Why? Because they train their minds to focus on what's right instead of what's wrong. They build mental toughness, not by ignoring hardship, but by anchoring themselves in what still works. When you say, "I am grateful," you're building that kind of mindset, one that helps you bounce back, one that says, "Yes, this is a setback, but I'm thankful for what it's teaching me. I'm thankful for another chance to grow." It's the difference between being overwhelmed by life and being able to rise above it. Gratitude doesn't erase pain. It gives you a place to stand while you face it. Importantly, gratitude isn't about denial. It's not about pretending that everything's fine when it isn't. It's about honestly choosing to focus on what is still good, what still matters, what still brings meaning. Sometimes it's as simple as being thankful for breath in your lungs, for the people who care, or for lessons born from yesterday's struggles. And when you begin each day with that mindset, you're committing to looking for value even in difficulty. And that small decision, it changes everything. Gratitude also improves your relationships. When you're grateful, you start to see the best in others. You notice their efforts. You appreciate their presence, even when they're imperfect. Instead of obsessing over what someone didn't do, you begin to see what they do bring into your life. And that perspective softens judgment and strengthens connection. When you say, "I am grateful," each morning, you're training your mind to appreciate the people around you, not just for their actions, but for who they are. And believe me, that shift makes for stronger relationships, deeper trust, and a much richer experience of life. And don't forget, gratitude is magnetic. When you're thankful, people feel it. They're drawn to it. It's the kind of energy that doesn't just lift you, it lifts the room. Previously, we explored how starting your day with "I am grateful" shifts your perspective and opens your heart to the good already present in your life. Now, let's go even deeper into how gratitude can shape your mindset, your relationships, and even your future. Gratitude doesn't just change the way you see the world, it changes the energy you bring to it. When you become someone who looks through the lens of appreciation, someone who isn't constantly criticizing or dwelling on what's wrong, you start to radiate a kind of quiet strength. That attitude creates a positive atmosphere around you, and whether you realize it or not, that energy becomes magnetic. People feel it. Opportunities are drawn to it. It becomes a cycle that continually enriches your life. There's a story I love about a man who had an unusual habit. He would say thank you for everything. It didn't matter if it was something good or something bad. His response was always the same. Thank you. If he succeeded, he gave thanks. If he failed, he still gave thanks, because he believed there was always something to learn, always some hidden blessing in the experience. At first, people thought he was odd, maybe even a bit naive, but over time, they noticed something different about him. He was calmer, happier, more centered. Why? Because he wasn't waiting for life to be perfect in order to feel joy. He had learned how to find joy in what was already there, in lessons, in people, in small moments. That's the power of saying, "I am grateful" every morning. You're not just acknowledging what's good, you're training your mind to recognize it. You're setting the tone for your day with appreciation. You're telling yourself, no matter what happens today, I will find something to be thankful for. And that perspective becomes a guiding light. It gives you strength when things get hard. It brings you peace when life feels overwhelming. It's like carrying a flashlight on a dark trail. You start to see what others might miss. You notice small kindnesses. You appreciate the little wins. You stop rushing through the day and start living it. Gratitude helps you slow down enough to savor life. And the beauty of it? Life isn't made up of grand moments. It's built on tiny ones. When you're truly grateful, you begin to realize just how full your life already is, even if your biggest goals are still in progress. That doesn't mean you give up ambition. Gratitude doesn't cancel desire, it grounds it. You can still chase your dreams while appreciating the journey. You can still aim high while being thankful for where you are. Gratitude helps you find fulfillment in the process, not just the result. It also brings with it a quiet humility. Saying, "I am grateful" is a way of recognizing that you didn't get here alone, that there were people, circumstances, even challenges that shaped who you are. It reminds you that you're part of something bigger, that life is not only about what you've earned, but also about what you've been given. And that humility, it keeps you grounded. It reminds you that each day is a gift, that even when things feel ordinary, they're still precious, that there's always something, big or small, to be thankful for. So tomorrow morning, before the rush of tasks and responsibilities begins, take just one quiet moment to say it. "I am grateful." Let it settle in your mind. Let it fill your heart. Let it draw your attention to the people who care about you, the chances you've been given, and the growth you've already experienced. Gratitude is more than a feeling. It's a state of being. And when you begin your day in that state, you change the lens through which you see everything else. It's a mindset that brings abundance, it brings peace, and it brings resilience. You can express it in big ways or small ones. Maybe you write down what you're thankful for. Maybe you simply whisper a quiet thank you for the chance to begin again. However you do it, make it real. Let it mean something, because no matter what today holds, there's always something worth appreciating. Previously, we explored how gratitude helps you stay present, grounded, and aware of life's quiet blessings. Now let's channel that sense of appreciation into personal progress, into becoming someone who is always evolving, always growing. When you begin your morning by saying, "I am focused on growth," you're doing more than setting an intention. You're making a powerful decision to seek out progress, to welcome change, and to view every moment, good or bad, as part of a larger journey of transformation. Because growth, by nature, is not a final destination. It's a continual unfolding. It's a process that never really ends. When you focus your day on growth, you naturally begin to look for lessons, to stay curious, to lean into challenges instead of avoiding them. You give yourself permission to explore new ideas, to test new limits, to step outside of what's familiar. Yes, comfort feels good. It's predictable. It's safe. But let's be honest, comfort rarely changes us. It keeps us circling the same ground, living the same patterns. Growth, on the other hand, demands discomfort. It requires stretching. So when you say, "I am focused on growth," you're also giving yourself permission to feel a little uncomfortable, to try something different, and to trust that growth lives on the edges of your comfort zone. It means being open to failure, because growth and failure often travel together. You're making a promise to learn from your missteps, to get back up after setbacks, and to keep pressing forward even when the path feels slow or uncertain. Focusing on growth also requires humility. It means recognizing that you don't know it all, and that's okay. It's about being teachable, being willing to listen, to ask questions, to learn from anyone, regardless of their title, background, or experience. You become like a sponge, soaking up knowledge and insight from the world around you. Every experience becomes a classroom, every person a potential teacher. And that's the beauty of growth. It transforms everything into an opportunity. Every challenge you face becomes a chance to grow stronger. Every disappointment becomes fuel for wisdom. When you anchor your day in the pursuit of growth, you're less likely to be thrown off by failure or delay. You begin to see life as a process, not a pass-fail exam. And here's the truth: growth is messy. It's rarely a straight line. Some days you'll soar forward, other days you'll fall back. Sometimes it's 3 steps up, 2 steps down. But if you stay committed, if you keep showing up, keep saying, "I'm focused on growth," you'll see that progress is still happening. Layer by layer, you're building something meaningful. That mindset builds resilience. When you're focused on growth, you don't collapse at the first sign of struggle. You don't quit when things don't go as planned. Why? Because you've already accepted that the journey includes stumbles and you're not afraid of them. You've learned to face challenges head-on, not with fear, but with curiosity. What is this moment here to teach me? You stop seeing failure as a dead end and start seeing it as a detour that's still headed in the right direction. You tell yourself, whatever happens, I'll learn through it. I'll grow from it. I'll be better because of it. And something incredible happens when you live this way. New opportunities begin to appear. When you're actively learning, improving, and refining your skills, people notice. Life begins to open new doors. Opportunities tend to come to those who are ready. And growth keeps you ready. It keeps you sharp, agile, and positioned to step forward when the moment arrives. But growth also requires patience. It can be frustrating when you're putting in the work but don't see immediate change. That's when your commitment is tested, and that's when you remind yourself this is a long game. Think of growth like planting a seed. At first, nothing seems to happen. The soil looks the same. But beneath the surface, roots are taking hold. With water, sunlight, and time, that seed will sprout. It will rise, slowly, quietly, but inevitably. That's what growth feels like. You may not see results today or even tomorrow, but they're coming, as long as you stay consistent. So when you say, "I am focused on growth," you're also saying, "I trust the process." You're choosing progress over perfection. You're choosing to show up, to try again, to keep improving. And most importantly, you're choosing not to compare your path to someone else's. And that brings us to the final phrase in this powerful morning routine, the one that ties it all together and sets the emotional tone for how you show up in the world. Previously, we explored how growth isn't just something you chase, it's something you live. It's a mindset that shapes how you move forward, every single day. Now let's continue that momentum by embracing the deeper layers of this powerful intention. Growth is deeply personal. It looks different for each of us. When you say, "I am focused on growth," you're not measuring your success against someone else's. You're not glancing sideways to see who's ahead or who's behind. You're tuned into your own lane, fully focused on your unique path. Because comparison, it can steal your joy. It can cloud your focus. But when you operate from a growth mindset, you stay centered. You realize that you're not in a race. You're not here to prove anything to anyone. You're simply showing up each day to be a little stronger, a little wiser, a little more you than the day before. And that, truly, is a powerful place to stand. Growth also means leaning into challenges, not retreating from them. When you remind yourself each morning, "I am focused on growth," you're mentally preparing for whatever obstacles might come your way. Instead of flinching when things get tough, you begin to approach hard moments with curiosity, wondering, what might this teach me? Think back to the moments in your life when you were stretched the most, times when life tested you, pushed you, maybe even brought you to your knees. Chances are those were also the times that shaped you the most. Growth doesn't happen when things are easy. It happens in the struggle. It's forged in the fire. When you live with a growth-focused mindset, you begin to see those struggles, not as setbacks, but as stepping stones. Each challenge becomes a chance to build resilience, to strengthen your perspective, to sharpen your character. And let's not forget, life doesn't always follow the plan. Change is inevitable. Some shifts are small, others shake your entire world. But when you're rooted in growth, you learn to adapt. You learn to pivot when needed without losing who you are. Growth gives you that kind of flexibility. You become like a tree with deep roots. You can sway in the storm without snapping. You can bend, adjust, and still move forward with integrity and direction. Every morning, when you say, "I am focused on growth," you're setting a high bar for yourself, not in pressure, but in possibility. You're declaring that you refuse to settle, that you will not let yourself go stagnant. You are committing to live a life of continuous evolution, a life that values learning, risk-taking, and becoming. And that mindset leads somewhere incredible. It leads to a life of depth, purpose, and real impact. Because when you're constantly growing, you're not just changing, you're expanding. You're creating a version of yourself that is more capable, more open, and more aligned with your true potential. So, each morning remind yourself, "I am focused on growth." Let that phrase be your compass. Let it push you to stretch, to explore, to welcome challenges, and to trust the journey even when the road isn't smooth. Growth may not always be comfortable, but it is always worth it. When you live with that focus, you begin to see the world with new eyes. What used to feel like obstacles now appear as openings. What once caused frustration now reveals wisdom. You begin to sense that every single day carries a chance to become more than you were yesterday. Over time, those small steps forward add up. They lead you to places you never thought you could reach, to accomplishments you once believed were out of your league. Growth isn't about being the fastest. It's about choosing the right direction and walking it, faithfully, deliberately, one morning at a time. And every time you say, "I am focused on growth," you're reinforcing that direction. You're making a promise to yourself to live with purpose, to take ownership of your development, and to keep striving toward the life that calls to you. After committing to a mindset of growth, there's one final element that holds everything together. Something that influences not just what you do, but how you experience every moment. That element is your attitude. You see, while we can't always control what happens to us, there's one thing we can always control: how we choose to respond. When you say, "I am in control of my attitude," you're claiming your power. You're reminding yourself that no matter what this day brings, good, bad, or uncertain, you have a say in how you'll meet it. Attitude is a choice, and it's a choice we make constantly. Every day, every hour, every moment. You get to decide how you interpret what's going on around you. Will you see possibility or limitation? Will you focus on the positive or get lost in the negative? Will you choose to see the best in others or let frustration highlight only their flaws? That simple choice, over and over again, shapes everything else. It influences how you show up, how you connect with people, and how you move through the highs and lows of life. When you say, "I'm in control of my attitude," you're not just repeating words. You're actively choosing to lead your emotions instead of letting them lead you. Why is attitude so important? Because quite simply, it's often the difference between success and failure. It's what separates someone who bounces back from adversity from someone who gets stuck in it. Your attitude is what keeps you standing when life tries to knock you down. It's what fuels you when your motivation runs low. With the right attitude, you become resilient, unstoppable. You develop the ability to handle anything life throws your way. But with the wrong attitude, even small issues can feel overwhelming. Even minor setbacks can seem impossible to overcome. That's why saying, "I am in control of my attitude" each morning is so powerful. It's like planting an anchor deep in the ground. No matter how strong the winds blow, you have something steady holding you in place. You've already decided that you'll respond, not react, with patience, perspective, and purpose. Let's be honest. Life won't always be smooth. There will be moments of stress, disappointment, or unexpected change. People will frustrate you. Plans will fall through. But in the middle of that chaos, there's still one thing that's fully yours: to command your attitude. And that power can change everything. Think of it this way: your attitude is like the lens through which you view the world. If you put on dark, gloomy glasses, even the brightest day will feel dim. But if you wear lenses of clarity, optimism, and possibility, you'll see the light, even when clouds roll in. When you say, "I am in control of my attitude," you're choosing that lens. You're choosing to look at your life through hope, through strength, and through the belief that even tough moments have meaning. And this mindset doesn't just affect you, it influences everyone you meet. Your attitude shapes your relationships. It colors the way you treat people, the way you speak to them, the way you respond to conflict. With a good attitude, you become more patient, more willing to understand, more open to learning and growing with others. You begin to see the best in people. You learn to appreciate their strengths and give grace for their imperfections. And naturally, that kind of energy draws people in. It makes others want to be around you. Why? Because you become a source of positivity, a light in the room instead of a shadow. A good attitude doesn't just make your life better. It lifts up the people around you. It creates ripple effects of kindness, encouragement, and connection. Now, here's something important. Attitude isn't something you set once and forget. It's not a one-time decision. It's something you have to recommit to throughout the day. You might start your morning with great energy, but then life throws something unexpected your way. A delay, a rude comment, a small crisis. That's the real test. It's in those tough moments that you need to pause, breathe, and remind yourself once again, "I am in control of my attitude." And when you do, you reset. You shift back into your strength. You choose calm over chaos, growth over frustration, light over bitterness. Because attitude ultimately determines the quality of your inner life. You can go through all the motions of your day, work, conversation, goals. But if your attitude is off, even success will feel empty. On the other hand, with the right attitude, even the simplest moments, like a walk, a smile, a deep breath, can feel deeply meaningful. And so, we come full circle. 5 phrases, 5 simple, powerful reminders to align your heart, your focus, and your energy each morning. But how do you bring them together? How do you make these more than just words and turn them into a rhythm that shapes your life? After choosing to take control of your attitude, you begin to create something deeper, a stable inner world, one that's no longer shaken by every external event, every passing frustration, or every unpredictable turn of the day. You're cultivating peace. You're nurturing a sense of quiet joy that isn't tied to whether things go your way. And I'll be honest with you, that's not always easy. Life will test you. There will be days when it feels like everything is working against you. When delays pile up. When people disappoint. When your patience runs out and irritation begins to rise. But it's precisely in those moments that this practice becomes most powerful. When you say, "I am in control of my attitude," you're equipping yourself for those difficult moments. You're reminding yourself that no matter how tough the circumstances get, you still have the power to rise above them, not by denying reality, but by choosing how to meet it. There's a beautiful connection here between attitude and gratitude. When you're grounded in appreciation, when you stay mindful of what's good, what you have, and what's going well, it becomes so much easier to keep your attitude steady. Gratitude pulls you back to a mindset of abundance. It softens your reactions, strengthens your patience, and expands your ability to be compassionate, even in chaos. And here's something powerful to remember. Attitude is contagious. The energy you bring into a space, others can feel it. It speaks louder than words. Walk into a room with a light, hopeful, can-do attitude, and people will notice. They'll feel encouraged, uplifted, inspired even. On the flip side, if you carry negativity, if you walk in with frustration, cynicism, or bitterness, that too spreads. It brings down the room. It shifts the energy. That's why great leaders are often recognized not by what they say, but by how they show up. They choose their attitude. They show up with intention. And in doing so, they raise the atmosphere for everyone else. So when you say, "I am in control of my attitude," you're not just making a personal commitment. You're leading by example. You're showing others what it means to be grounded, resilient, and intentional, regardless of the storm outside. That choice alone can be a gift to the people around you. And it doesn't stop there. Your attitude affects your goals too. When you face your goals with a mindset of positivity and perseverance, you're more likely to act. You're more likely to keep going, to push through resistance, to finish what you start, even when it gets hard. But if your attitude turns negative, even the smallest hurdles can feel massive. Doubt creeps in, motivation fades, you begin to hesitate, to question, to retreat, and before long, you're stuck. But with the right attitude, you keep moving, you stay focused, you treat every setback as part of the process. You see struggle not as the end, but as a stepping stone, a necessary part of the journey towards something better. That's why each morning say it with full intention. I am in control of my attitude. Let that phrase remind you that no matter what the day holds, you get to decide how you'll show up. You can stay positive. You can stay calm. You can choose patience over panic, clarity over chaos. You have the power to influence the tone of your day, your conversations, your actions, and ultimately your experience. That mindset prepares you. It helps you face life with strength, with kindness, with focus. It helps you live fully, stay present, and make the most of each moment, no matter how ordinary or challenging. And that, my friends, is a powerful way to live. As you prepare to step into each new day, take a quiet moment to center yourself with these 5 simple phrases. Let them serve as a compass, guiding you back to your values, your intentions, and your best self. Remember, these aren't just words to say and forget. They're daily anchors. They're quiet declarations of who you are, who you're becoming, and what kind of life you're working toward. Because let's be real, life is loud. It's fast. It's full of distractions, stress, and surprise. But when you start your morning with clarity and purpose, when you remind yourself of your power, your gratitude, your responsibility, you create a foundation that can carry you through anything. These moments of reflection give your day structure, depth, and meaning. They help you reset your focus, reclaim your energy, and realign your efforts with what truly matters. Each morning is a new beginning, a blank canvas, a fresh chance to show up with purpose and heart. So as you rise, take these words with you. Let them shape your mindset. Let them guide your actions. Let them remind you, you are capable, you are responsible, you are grateful, you are growing, and you are always in control of your attitude.